The clearest messages don't come in noise, they come in still water. Welcome to this weekly energy update of Cassiopeia, where I channel with the High Council of Cassiopeia for a short, however very practical message they have for humanity. And today, like any other day, I was tuning in, and I always do this in the space of the Akashic Records, because as a starseed, it's very benevolent for me to receive messages in the highest space of the Akashic Records, because in this space, I know for sure that messages will come through in the most loving way of love and light, and it's very clear also to receive these messages. And as soon as I enter my Akashic Record space, I then connect to the High Council of Cassiopeia. But today, I had the soul nudge to ask if this was the right order, because I was seeing myself connected to the holy waters of Cassiopeia. So I asked, in the space of the Akashic Records, I asked, do I need to connect with the holy waters of Cassiopeia first? And then a yes came through. So I was like, okay, interested, because source and the higher energies are so creative. You never know exactly what you can expect, right? And that's the beauty of it, because then you're when you are in this space of being neutral and being open to receive what's coming through, then you're often surprised of what is actually coming through. So I did connect to the holy waters with Cassiopeia first, and they were showing me of me laying into the waters. First, I stepped into the water, and it was very clear, like always in Cassiopeia. You can imagine being in Hawaii in tropical sands, clear blue waters. Well, Cassiopeia for me, that's what it is. So I saw myself stepping into the ocean, and I lay on my back. And it was very calm and very soothing. And I was flowing into the waters, and I was really in an open gesture. And they told me from this space, which is a starting point to receive, it's best to receive all the messages, because then you're in a calm state, you're open, and you're also in a gesture of showing that you have faith and trust, because you're like fully trusting the waters, because you're laying on your back. So it was a good starting point. And because it was from so far really like all the images and impressions for me, I was like, I thought this message was for humanity, but they say it is for humanity, but for you as well. So next I was connecting to the High Council of Cassiopeia, and they were immediately showing me a bright sun, and it was on the background of blue. And I was like, okay, why are you showing me this? Because I always want to know why I'm being shown, why I'm receiving feelings, thoughts, images. It's all part of channeling, right? Because your senses are all open, your clairs are active, and sometimes they are showing me pictures, sometimes I get a feeling, or sometimes I just have downloads with direct information. And I always want to know why. Always want to dive deeper. So I asked, why are you showing me this picture of a sun with a blue background? And they were saying it's all about making connections instead of focusing on one aspect or element. Okay, sounds interesting. Especially, it's beneficial if you do this in a conscious way. So they were explaining after that what they mean by this. And they were talking about zooming in and zooming out. Zooming in, which is basically, as they were explaining to me, focusing on your ego, your self part, is really something that it's considered like not a good way to go, because we are being told that the ego is sort of bad, and that we should all live in um, this sense of oneness, and of course it's good, but they are saying to me that um, focusing on your ego is really at the root of your soul leaving God's source, right? Because we are all God particles. We are all divine. We all came from one source. But our soul needed to explore who it was by traveling through the galaxies, going through different lives, and exploring basically what aspects of God they are really. And at the end, your soul is also going back to really share all the adventures it went through, like going from source and really find his unique path and the unique experiences. This is called the ego, right? Because we are all different with our all unique abilities and unique skills, and we all want to experience that. So focusing on the ego is not a bad thing if you can do it in a conscious way, and also are able to focus on the whole as well. So if you are being egoistic, of course, that's not a good thing, because then you're all focused about serving yourself and all focus on what your needs are instead of looking at what other people or the planet is needing. So if you do it on a conscious way, you can do both simultaneously. And that's what they mean by zooming in and zooming out. Because zooming out is then focusing on the whole, and zooming in is focusing on your divine self, which is also called the ego. And this journey about detaching from source, it's an amazing topic to dive into more deeply, because everyone who's a human right now has detached his or her soul from one point in time. And yeah, that's a very great topic to discuss in another video. And whenever I feel, when I'm channeling the high counseling, if the message is coming to an end, I always ask, is there more? And they were saying, yes, there's one more thing we would like to address today. And they are showing about the different layers. And they are showing me a diamond or kaleidoscope. And they say each facet has different faces. It's the same thing. It's the same basis, but from a different angle, from a different perspective, you can perceive like a different feeling or thoughts about it. And they say, let us explain. So they were talking about the beginning of this message, where the calm water was really supporting a relaxing mind to receive information. And they were saying the water can also not be relaxing, but can be really like a turbulent whirlpool of waters, and which is very like wild and but the water is the water. It really depends on from what angle and aspects you are looking at it. So if you perceive yourself from being in turbulent waters, while it's not your choice or not your desire, you can always turn back to zooming out and to see like the diamond or the kaleidoscope, and choose water from a different angle. So I think that's very interesting, because even though it's the same water, it has different layers and different elements and aspects to it, right? And they were advising us to really play with this concept, right? To see what works for you, what resonates for you, and how you can use this like concept for your own benefit to do great things, basically. So, as always, I find these messages of the High Council of Cassiopeia very helpful. And even though they might seem very simple, I think it's a good way to go and to really use it for your benefit in your everyday life. And it's always, yeah, are always showing me examples within nature, and especially the waters, of course, because that's my innate way to go to work with the holy waters. So if you have questions about these channelings, about being a starseed, about your Akashic records, you can always reach out. And if you really want to dive deeper in your personal soul origin, what your soul has been through, where you come from, you can always book a reading with me. The link is in the description, and I hope to see you next week. Bye for now.